Hey there, Griff Hamlin here from Blues Guitar Unleashed, and today in this video I want to talk to you about picking dynamics. And this is something that came up in a lesson recently. I was working with a student here in my house, and we were talking about the song Keep Your Hands to Yourself by the Georgia Satellites. Now, you may or may not have ever heard that song. It's really not important. It's a very simple... It's what we would consider a basic blues in A, right? I've got my open A string, and I've got my first finger on the second fret of the fourth string, and on beats 2 and 4, I put that third finger down to the fourth fret on the fourth string. So it's 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and then it goes up to the D. You just change the strings, 1 and 2 and 3 and back to the A and down to E. Same thing again, just change the string set. I don't want to get too much into those notes, to be perfectly honest. You probably already know how to play that riff. It's not super fancy. Here's what struck me, right? This is that the notes themselves are the easy part. Here's what struck me is the difference between, I'll say, my student playing it and the original recording as far as the variation in the volume of the notes. Okay, and so let me show you what I mean by that. It's very easy to play this and go, right? Everything sounds the same. However, if you listen to it closely, what you notice is that there are 3 different volumes going on. And it's those different dynamics that really make it sound good. And as my old classical guitar teacher used to say, your technique will follow the music. Meaning, if you have in your mind, right, if you have in your mind's ear, as I like to call it, if you have in your mind's ear that there's supposed to be these different volume levels, right? Sometimes you pick harder, sometimes you pick quieter, sometimes you pick in the middle, sometimes you do just 1 string, sometimes you do 2 strings. I'm going to discuss all of that momentarily. But if you have that in your mind's ear before you start to play it, your right hand technique will adapt to create that sound. The problem is, for most guitar players, they're just like, I got to play this note and this note and this note. They don't think about what they want the end result to actually sound like. What I just said in the last 30 seconds is by far the most important thing you're going to hear today about guitar playing. And I don't believe I've ever heard anybody else say that. So go back and listen to that again. It's really, really important. So let me show you what I'm talking about, right? Beat 1 is a downbeat, but not the backbeat. It's not 2 and 4, so it's in the middle. 1. So I'm going to hit 2 strings at a moderate intensity. 1, and I'm going to play that as quiet. That's going to be the quietest dynamic. So the ands are going to be a single string and the lightest that I pick. 1 and 2. So 2 is on the backbeat. So the 2 and 4 are the loudest of all, the 2 and 4. The 1 and 3 are less loud than 2 and 4, and the ands are the least loud. They're the single string, stay out of the way. I can use subtle variation in my muting. Like on 2 and 4, I lift up completely. Okay, so there's a little bit of difference. I hope you can hear. I'm trying to go slowly. So I have 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 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 okay, and again, as you play that, as you think about it, as you expect what you want to hear, your palm muting, how hard you hit the strings, There may be a little bit of muting going on in your left hand. All these little things. These are things that you're going to have difficulty controlling one at a time. Like if you're thinking to yourself, I got to palm mute, I got to, okay, well then that's going to be this laundry list of things that you're going to be trying to remember to do. That's going to be your challenge. However, if you just listen and you have an expectation of what you want to hear, you probably know, okay, well, if that note is too loud, I need to palm mute it, right? You know that. So when you hear something that doesn't sound the way you expected it to hear, the next time that comes around, you'll probably fix it. That's the way you want to approach this. So play it slowly, of course, at first to again sort of get that, in your brain. Now I've got my volume all the way up right now because I have my blues driver on with not a lot of gain. You might want to back the volume off on your guitar just a little bit, right? That's going to give you a little bit more dynamic range to have a little bit less overdrive. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. But you can see 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1. I've got these 3 different dynamic ranges going on. If you can get the hang of that on a riff such as that, it will completely transform how you play guitar across the board. If you can get used to listening like that to what you're playing, and you can get used to controlling those dynamics, I can absolutely promise you that they also come into play, right, when you're doing lead stuff. Right, if I go, that sounds very different from, again, that's because I have a certain way I want to hear it. I'm going to pick accordingly. So this is really all about your right hand and those picking dynamics. It's a very simple riff, one that you probably already know, but I just about guarantee you've never approached it like this. So play around with that today. As always, if you have guitar playing friends that would dig this video, share it with them. It's extremely valuable stuff. If you can get your, I'll say, your mind around this, it really, really is great, and get your mind's ear into the game and start having an expectation of what you want to hear. So please share it around. As always, I'm Griff Hamlin from Blues Guitar Unleashed. I will talk to you soon. Take care. Bye-bye.